Chapter 50. It was the night before the big archery tournament, and Prince John couldn't sleep a wink. He tossed and turned in his giant feather bed, with its mountains of pillows and blankets, his mind alive with visions of what was sure to be a most excellent day. Animals from around the realm would gather to pay homage to him and his rule, and if they were lucky, they could take down that treacherous thief for good. John was still furious about all the failed attempts to capture Robin Hood. How could one fox be so slippery? Every day, more and more gold and food went missing from the castle and ended up in the neighboring towns, and yet no one seemed to have any idea how it was being done. Even with a blasted map leading straight to Robin's lair, that ridiculous sheriff hadn't been able to take him in, claiming the fox had some kind of magical forest army protecting him from harm. Honestly, how could Prince John be expected to command respect from his subjects when they were all in the streets singing the praises of the fox trying to subvert his rule? It was enough to make a lion want to give up the crown altogether, retreat to private life, where he could go back to sleeping till noon. That was an idea he had mentioned to Sir Hiss several times, but the snake wouldn't hear of it. "Sire," he said, "just wait until the tournament. We'll capture that fox, and we'll show everyone who's in charge. No one will dare disrespect you or your rule ever again." Prince John hoped he was right. In the morning, he dressed in his royal best, a sky blue ermine-trimmed robe with a matching flouncy blue shirt that used to belong to his brother. At some point, he'd have to have new clothes made, ones that fit him a little better. But for now, these would do, along with his crown, of course, to show the kingdom who was in charge. He ate a hearty breakfast, accompanied by Maid Marian, whom he'd allowed out of her room for the day, seeing how she had an important part to play in his game. She sat at the table with him, listlessly staring down at her food and not taking a bite. "What's wrong, my dear?" he asked. "Aren't you excited about today? You'll be meeting your future husband." He knew she wasn't thrilled at this, at least at first. And to be honest, he didn't really want her to leave the castle as someone's bride either. Sir Hiss might have thought it was a good idea to get rid of her. He didn't seem to like her too much for some reason. But John honestly enjoyed having her around, even if she could get a little bossy at times. It was nice to have someone close to his own rank to talk to or play badminton with. In truth, she reminded him a little of his mother. He just hoped Robin would come and win the tournament. He'd be disqualified, of course, when he was arrested, which meant Marian could then remain at the castle as John's ward. It was the perfect plan. "I'm very excited," Marian said, looking up at him with glassy eyes. "But I'm afraid I have a rather sore tummy this morning. I think I ate something bad last night, and I've been throwing up ever since." "Oh dear," Prince John frowned. "Well, that's not good at all." "I know," she moaned. "The last thing I want is to throw up in front of the crowd of nobles. Who would want me as a bride then? Someone so unladylike." She let out a small cry of dismay. Prince John patted her on the shoulder. "Look, if you're feeling like you will be sick, just head back to the castle to deal with it. And when you're done, return. Then no one has to see." She smiled gratefully at him. "That is such a wise plan," she said. "Thank you so much for thinking of it." "Oh," he said, waving her off with a grin. She really was a sweet girl. "It's nothing. I have so many wise plans. Sometimes they just come to me out of the blue." "Well, you have made me feel so much better, and now I'd best go prepare myself. I want to look extra beautiful today for meeting my new husband." "Of course, my dear. Take as long as you need. I will see you out on the field when you are ready." He watched her get up and walk out of the room, then turned back to his breakfast. When he had finished, his guards escorted him to the field, where everyone else was already gathered for the event. The trumpets sounded, announcing his royal arrival, and everyone cheered loudly and shouted, "Long live the king!" He smiled, feeling pretty good about things, and made his way over to the grand pavilion, where his throne had been set up for him to watch the event. When he reached the pavilion, he found Sir Hiss was waiting for him. "Everything is in place, sire," the snake informed him. "We have guards surrounding the perimeter. Once we identify Robin, we'll close in. This time there will be no chance to escape." "Excellent," Prince John said, settling down on his throne. "I cannot wait to see the look on that sneaky traitor's face when he realizes he's been outwitted by my cleverness." Sir Hiss flicked his tongue. "Yes, sire," he said with a grin. "It will surely be a sight to be greetings." Sir Hiss was interrupted by a large bear stepping up to the pavilion. He was dressed in a fancy purple suit that unfortunately looked a few sizes too small, and he wore a monocle. "Ah!" he exclaimed, a big smile on his face. My esteemed sovereign lord of the realm," he bowed low. "The head man himself. You're beautiful." Prince John beamed liking the bear already. "He has style," he said as an aside to Sir Hiss, who looked a little doubtful. "Come," he added, patting the seat at his side. "Sit down a while and take a load off." "Thanks, PJ," the bear said, plopping down on the seat, which was, unfortunately, still occupied by Sir Hiss. The snake let out an offended screech, and the bear reached under his own bottom to grab the snake by the neck and yank him out. "Sorry, Buster," he said, not seeming too apologetic. Prince John had to stifle a giggle at the offended look on his advisor's face. "Buster," the snake spat. "My name is Sir Hiss. I'm His Majesty's royal advisor." He scowled at the bear. "And who, pray tell, might you be?" "Sir Reginald, Duke of Chutney, at your service," the bear replied jovially. "I'm here to watch the tournament and to see who wins the paw of Lady Marian." He elbowed Prince John in the side. "She's a lovely lass, isn't she?" Sir Hiss frowned, turning to the empty chair on the other side of Prince John. "Speaking of her loveliness," he said, "where is she?" Prince John sighed. "She has a bit of a tummy trouble, it seemed. She'll be along in a bit." Sir Hiss frowned. "No," he said, "that won't do. We need her out here." "Very well." Prince John rose to his feet. "I'll go fetch her." "But sire, the tournament!" cried Sir Reginald, waving his arm and accidentally knocking John back onto his throne. "Watch what you're doing," Sir Hiss scolded. "That's the king, you know." "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," Reginald said. "I'm a big oaf, aren't I?" "It's just that everyone's been waiting for you to arrive. If you leave again, they'll have to halt all activities and wait for your return," he shrugged. "You are so important, after all." Prince John nodded. "Very true," he mused. "I am important." "Perhaps I should go," Sir Hiss suggested. "No need. I can do it," cried a new voice. Prince John turned to find that Lady Cluck had stepped up to the pavilion. He sighed in relief. "Wonderful," he said. "Tell her we need her out here. She'll understand why." "Of course, sire. Just leave it to me." Cluck curtsied, then scurried off. Sir Hiss frowned. "Are you sure you don't want to send someone else?" he asked. "I mean, someone—" "Bah! She seems like a competent lady to me," Sir Reginald declared, slapping the snake on the back so hard He almost fell off his perch. You worry too much, Buster. Now let's watch ourselves a tournament. Yes, Sir Hiss. Watch the tournament, Prince John admonished, turning back to the events on the field, which were just getting underway. He rubbed his paws together. This is a grand moment, after all. A day for the history books. The day they would bring down Robin Hood at last.